it's Miss Laurie
and Anna.
We're here today to do a story and a craft. Here's our wise word owl, and we're going to read Rocket Writes a Story by Tad Hills. I know some of you may know his first book, How Rocket Learned to Read. So we're going to read the book, and then I'm going to show you how to make an owl, and you'll see how you'll use him after we read the book. So first we'll do our welcome song.
Yes.
Ready? If you'd like to read a book, clap your hands. If you'd like to read a book, clap your hands. If you'd like to read a book, listen up and take a look. If you'd like to read a book, clap your hands. If you'd like to read a book, say shh, shh. If you'd like to read a book, say shh, shh. If you'd like to read a book, listen up and take a look. If you'd like to read a book, say shh, shh. Okay, here is our book, Rocket Writes a Story by Tad Hills. Rocket loved books. He loved to read them to himself or to sit quietly by his teacher, the little yellow bird, as she read them aloud. Rocket even liked the way books smelled. When he opened a new book, it smelled like a place he'd never been to, like a friend he'd never met. The little yellow bird agreed. Books are inspiring. They make me sing. Isn't he cute, the little yellow bird? Rocket loved words too. After snack time, his teacher would say, "Rocket, why don't you use that nose of yours to sniff out some new words?" And off he'd go. He'd fetch some nice ones like buttercup and bug and feather and nest. "I'm looking for words," Rocket would announce to anyone who would listen. Rocket always brought his words back to the classroom and wrote them down. The little yellow bird would help him spell the tricky ones, and then they'd hang them on their word tree. Sometimes the bird added her own words to the collection. "This one is small, but I promise it'll come in handy," she'd say. "Magnificent," chirped the little yellow bird once their tree was covered. "Now what shall we do with all these splendid words?" Rocket thought all afternoon. Then he had an idea. I'm not going to read all the words, but some of the words are fly and dog and bee, rock, or, under, down, leaf, bush. Rocket left school that day with a very waggy tail. "I'm going to write a story," he declared to Fred and Emma. "My story will be an adventure about the great wide world," he told a butterfly. "I will use many words," he explained to Mr. Barker. "Hello up there," he called as he passed the tree where he had found the word nest. "I'm going to write a story." The next day, Rocket returned to his classroom. It was time to begin. He looked down at the blank page, and the blank page looked up at him, but no story would come. At snack time, Rocket gave up. "I don't know what to write," he told his teacher. "Don't worry," the little yellow bird replied. "One of the hardest parts of writing is coming up with a good story, but it's one of the most fun too. Perhaps you want to write about something you've seen." "A bug?" asked Rocket. "Yes," sang his teacher. "Stories need good characters. Or what about something that happened to you? or something you really enjoy? My favorite stick, suggested Rocket. Of course, said the bird. Or you could write about something that inspires you. Inspires me? Asked Rocket. Yes, something that excites you, the little yellow bird sang. Look at all the words. Rocket took a walk and looked for inspiration. He thought about friends he knew and places he'd been. He stuck his nose high in the air and sniffed the gentle breeze. And there it was, a delightful smell of pine needles and feathers. Inspiration. For the rest of the morning, he thought about feathers and pine needles and feathers. That afternoon, he started to write. In the evening, Rocket followed the beautiful smell until he found himself at the tree with the nest. Hello again, he called into the branches. Is anyone home? He heard rustling from above, but no one answered. I'm sorry to disturb you, but I must tell you that you smell nice, very inspiring. May I ask who you are? Still nothing. Perhaps I'll come back at a more convenient time, he said, and trotted off.
That night, as Rocket watched the stars, he thought about feathers and a nest in a pine tree. He thought about his story and his collection of words. On his way to school the next day, Rocket was surprised by what he saw. A brand new word, he said, and it's already written down. It says, he tried to sound the word out. Owl, came a quiet voice from the branches. It says owl. That's me. Thank you, Owl, Rocket called. I'm always looking for new words, and this one's a beauty. Rocket ran all the way to his classroom. O-W-L, owl. Now there's a word you don't hear every day, chirped the little yellow bird. Only 3 letters, but what a word. It was a present, explained Rocket, and he added the new word to his story. I'm writing a story about you, Rocket announced proudly to the owl the next morning. The owl poked her head out of her nest, and for the first time, Rocket saw her friendly face. Her big round eyes blinked below feathery tufts. About me? She asked softly. Would you like to come down and hear it? Asked Rocket. Thank you, but I think I'll listen from my nest, the owl answered. So Rocket cleared his throat and began to read. Once there was an owl. She smelled like feathers and pine needles. She lived in a tree. The owl's eyes widened. Is there more? There will be, said Rocket. Each day, Rocket worked on his story. He wrote words down and crossed words out. When things were going well, he wagged his tail. When he didn't know what to write, he growled. Sometimes he drew pictures for his story, or took a walk in the meadow to look for inspiration. The little yellow bird encouraged him. Remember, stories take time, she'd say. She wanted to know more about the owl and asked Rocket questions. Why do you think the owl wouldn't come down? What color is her beak? What does she do every day? Rocket wanted to know more about the owl too. He visited her tree often and read her his story, which changed every day. The owl was captivated. And when Rocket stopped, she would always ask, then what happened? At last came the day when Rocket knew he was finished. What a fine story, chirped the little yellow bird after she'd read it. Rocket ran to the owl's pine tree. It's done, he called. Come listen. And so down and down came the owl, till she was right beside Rocket. Then Rocket began to read. He read about an owl with friendly eyes and a beak the color of a buttercup. She lived in a nest high in a tree on the edge of a meadow and smelled like pine needles and feathers. She liked to nap in the daytime and listen to stories. Branch by branch, the owl came down from her nest. Rocket read. She was shy, but she was brave too. Suddenly, Rocket stopped. He wrote something on his paper, then began to read again. One day, the owl came all the way to the ground and became my friend. The owl blinked. Can there be one last sentence, she asked. Can you say, and the owl liked the story very much? What a perfect ending, said Rocket, and it was. The end. Yay!
Yay! I hope you enjoyed our story. So now we're going to make our wide-word owl. So my daughter and I made 2 different owls, and we'll show you the differences between the two, but there's some similarities between them as well. So first, we're going to show you what you will need. You'll need a toilet paper tube or a paper towel tube, and you can cut, since it's going to be bigger than the toilet paper tube, you would want to cut it in half. You'll need either glue or tape. My daughter used tape and I used glue. Scissors, several different colors of construction paper, a marker, and some paper to write down your words. You're going to want to collect words either around your house, what you find, or outside, and then all different kinds of words, and then we'll show you what to do with those words. So now my daughter will describe her owl.
Okay, so this is the owl I made. And so you're going to take your tube. It can be big or little. And then you're going to take these 2 ends here, fold them in half to meet, and it's going to look like that, and that will be like his ears. And then you could take whatever color construction paper you want. I chose purple. You're going to cover the entire tube in your color of your choice. And so when you did that, I did this. You don't have to. You can color little feathers on his ears. And then for his eyes, you're going to cut little white circles of paper, and then you're going to color in a black marker or pen the black for his eyes. For his beak, you're going to do orange, and I did a diamond. I folded it in half so his beak can open and close. And so to make it stay, I took a roll of tape and rolled it into a little ball, and like that. And then if that's too hard, you can have your mom or your dad help you. And then you're gonna take the end and stick it. For his belly, you're gonna cut a little half circle. And then you could do a pattern of your choice. I did polka dots, but you don't have to. You could do it in any color of your choice also. And for his wings, you could do it in any shape you want. You could do long or you could do round. And then you can fold them in half if they're long so he can stand. And for your words, you're gonna put them in the opening of the tube. And my words are: the flowers are beautiful. And that's one of your options that you have for your owls.
Now my owl, I used a triangle for a beak, just a simple triangle. I actually like what my daughter did. I think that gives them some character. So, but mine, I used that. And then I added some feathers to him. So you're gonna want to put the beak on after. So this will be your basic feathers. You're gonna want to cut a straight line and then I did 4 scalloped edges. And then you're going to either glue or tape them around his body. Then I put little feet on him, and I tuck the feet, I put them on first, and then I put the feathers over that. But you want to cover him so he's pretty covered. And I like my daughter's wings, but I used short little wings. So after he's done, you want to collect some words, and just for an example, I'll show you what the words in my owl say. I love to read. So, and then when you're done, they fit nicely back inside. And here is our wise word owl.
Yay! Yay!
I hope everyone had fun.
Yes.
It was a fun craft, so, and now you know how to do it. So, do you want to say our goodbye song?
Yes.
Oh, it's time to say goodbye to our friends. It's time to say goodbye to our friends. Story time is done today, so come again another day. It's time to say goodbye to our friends.
Bye, guys.
Bye, thank you.